Hey, how's it going everyone? Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. Alright, so for today's video, we're going to be going over everything that's going to be happening this week, October 21st until the 27th, within Pokemon Go. And I have to tell you, this is going to be a major week because Niantic is going to be introducing a brand new Pokemon. We're going to see the kickoff of an event that a lot of players have been waiting for, and then we're going to see the introduction of Gigantamax Pokémon. Yeah, it's going to be a very packed week, and I'm really looking forward to it. There's a lot of content that we need to cover, so let's get right into it. First, let's talk about the Halloween event that's going to be kicking off this week. This is, of course, one of the major events every single year, and it's one that a lot of players are always looking forward to. This year's Halloween event is going to see the introduction of a brand new Pokemon, and it is going to be Morpeko. Now the thing is, with this Pokemon, it's going to have a very unique ability when it comes to battling. It's going to be able to transform mid-battle when you use a certain charge attack. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this Pokemon will impact battles because yeah, when it comes to PvP and when it comes to raids, there's not a lot of unique mechanics that players can use, but this is certainly going to be unique, and I'm very curious to see how it's all going to pan out. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be gameplay relevant, especially when it comes to the Great League, but it might not hurt to get yourself a couple of these Morpekos to see if it actually ends up becoming relevant. The Halloween event is going to be broken down into two parts, and part 1 is going to start this Tuesday, October 22nd at 10 o'clock a.m. local time. And you'll definitely be aware of it because you're going to see a lot of differences within the game map, and then you're going to see a whole bunch of ghost types and dark types spawning everywhere. It's going to be a really good time, so make sure you're playing after October 22nd because there's going to be a lot to do within Pokemon Go. Next up, let's talk about the debut of Gigantamax Pokémon. Now, I know this is not going to be content for everyone, considering that it's going to be specific to Max Battles and Dynamax Pokémon, which is not really speaking to a whole lot of players right now. In order to get Gigantamax Pokémon, you will need to engage in Max Battles in order to defeat them, and then once you do, you'll be able to collect the starter Pokémon that you battled, and that Pokémon is going to be able to use a Gigantamax form. Now, unfortunately, these giant Gigantamax battles require a whole bunch of trainers. I think Niantic stated that it would take anywhere from 10 to 40 trainers in order to take them down. I think that's pretty insane, but if you really want to get yourself these Gigantamax Pokemon, you will need to coordinate with your local communities, talk to the people you typically raid with, and hopefully you'll have enough numbers to take down these bosses and collect these Gigantamax forms. They're going to be available in pretty much every single max battle starting on October 26th, going until October 27th. You're only going to have yourself a couple of days to get these Gigantamax Pokemon, so make sure you schedule it out. You do not want to miss out on these very special Pokemon. Now, let's switch gears and talk about PvP and what leagues are going to be active within the Go Battle League this week. Up until this Tuesday, we're going to have the continuation of the Master League along with the Halloween Little Cup. So if you still want to get some battles in within the Master League, just keep in mind that it's going to switch over on this Tuesday. And speaking of which, the new leagues that are going to be active after this Tuesday is going to be the Great League Remix along with the Halloween Cup Great League Edition. So if you have a bunch of Great League ready Pokemon that are eligible for the Halloween Cup, make sure you put a team together so that you can collect those rating points and try to compete to get the higher rates. It's going to be a pretty decent week of PvP, and I do think that it's going to be pretty interesting to see what Pokemon players will use in this new edition of the Halloween Cup. Now, let's talk about what the Spotlight Hour is going to be this week. On Tuesday, October 22nd from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m. local time, you're actually going to see an increased amount of Duskull, Ghastly, as well as Litwick. They're doing something different here this time around. Instead of having just one Pokemon for the Spotlight Hour, they're going to have a whole bunch of these 3 ghost types, and they're also going to include a double experience bonus for catching Pokemon for this Spotlight Hour. So if you need yourself a whole bunch of experience in order to level up, then make sure you participate during this Spotlight Hour. It's definitely going to be a great opportunity for you to get a whole bunch of experience. Next up, let's talk about raiding content. So during this week, we're going to see the continuation of Giratina Origin Form being in 5-star legendary raids, and that is actually a pretty important one because it is relevant for both PvP as well as PvE content. On top of it being a pretty decent raid attacker when it comes to ghost types, it's also a very strong Pokemon for the Master League. So if you still do not have yourself a 100% IV of Giratina Origin Form, make sure you're raiding as many 5-star raids as you can during this week because after it goes away from raid battles, it probably will not return for a very long time. So definitely raid it while you still can. It is a very useful Pokemon. And then in Mega Evolution raids, we're going to see the continuation of Mega Sableye appearing in those battles, and I have to tell you, it's not necessarily the best Mega Evolution for either Ghost types or Dark types, but it's pretty decent. So if you still need a good Mega Evolution with either of those typings, then Mega Sableye is definitely going to be a worthy option. So if you do not have the Mega Energy to Mega Evolve a Sableye, make sure you do a couple of these during this week, because just like with Giratina Origin Form, once it goes away from battles, we do not know when it will return. And then in terms of Shadow Legendary raids, we're going to continue to get Shadow Entei. I've said this over the past couple of weeks, but it's a pretty decent Shadow Legendary that if you still do not have a good one, you should at least go out and try to raid at least one or two of them. It's going to be available on the weekends when Shadow Legendary raids are available, and I would say that it is worth doing at least one or two of them every single time. Now in terms of this Wednesday's raid hour, we're going to have Giratina Origin Form. That is of course because it's going to be the active 5-star Legendary during this week. And like I've said before, it's a pretty decent Pokemon and it's worth doing a whole bunch of them. So if you still want to get a whole bunch of raids in and you know your community is going to be out and about raiding this Wednesday, then I would suggest joining up with them because this is actually a pretty relevant Pokemon. So yeah, in terms of content, this is going to be a pretty stacked week. There's going to be the introduction of Gigantamax Pokemon along with the Halloween event starting to kick off. And then of course we got the introduction of a brand new Pokemon, Morpeko. So there's actually a lot to look forward to this week. I just think it's unfortunate that when it comes to Gigantamax Pokemon, they're not going to be useful in any other form of content outside of max battles. But I do suggest you get a couple of these done because in the future there's going to be some Pokemon that are going to be exclusively available from max battles, and you would probably want to get yourself a couple of good Gigantamax Pokemon ready for that. So yeah, I do suggest that for this upcoming weekend, you do a lot of Pokemon Go gameplay because yeah, you shouldn't miss out on Gigantamax Pokemon, and on top of that, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening during this week, so yeah. In any case, that's going to be it for this video. Let me know your thoughts regarding everything that I talked about down below. What in particular during this week are you looking forward to? Are you expecting some really cool stuff with the Halloween event? Are you prepared to do a whole bunch of Gigantamax battles? Definitely share all of your thoughts, and let's have a great discussion. And thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. My name is Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you on the next one. Jinsula